constitution. So
that is a quite extraordinary statement you're making, and you've made it before. There are people in Dutch society, you're saying, who do not deserve the respect of the rule of law. They do not deserve to be treated with due process.
According to me,
you are saying they are beyond the pale.
Yes, let me give you, perhaps you allow me to give you one example. The Dutch Secret Service said a few years ago, but they are still saying it today, that in Holland there are a few hundred terrorists, radical Islamists, that are walking through the street. People like Mohammed Bouyeri, who killed Theo van Gogh. But because...
with respect, he was convicted after a trial, after due legal process. Yeah. You are talking about people who do not deserve the rights of the rule of law. Without going to a judge, you said recently, they should be arrested and expelled.
Exactly.
Without going to a judge.
But maybe you allow me to finish what I just tried to tell you. Now, what I tried to tell you is that there are a few hundred people walking through the streets of Holland, not according to me, but according to the Dutch Secret Service, whose aim is to use violence sooner or later in order to achieve their Islamic fascist goals.
That is a suspicion they have. A
This is not
suspicion
my
the authorities
suspicion,
may
it's a
have.
suspicion the authorities may have.
Nothing
and
more than a suspicion.
If I can choose between taking our chances and letting those people walk freely down the streets of Amsterdam or Rotterdam, or as a preventive measure to use, for instance, administrative detention, to arrest those people by an administrative law, of course it'll also be checked by a court, but not by a penal code, not by a penal court, then I choose for the safety of the Dutch families. I choose for the fact that I don't want to take the risk that tomorrow in the metro of Rotterdam or in the streets of Amsterdam, one of these guys puts off a bomb or some detonation.
I think I understand what you're saying. What you are describing is a Dutch Guantanamo Bay. Is that what you want?
It's common sense.
It's a Dutch Guantanamo Bay.
By the way, I learned this administrative detention when I visited my friends in Israel, where they used it. Not only in the
Have you read the human rights reports about the way Israel uses administrative detention?
It's very effective.
Do you think that represents Dutch values?
I would very much, otherwise I wouldn't have proposed it in my own parliament. I believe that between, if you have to choose between the safety of the Dutch families and the Dutch individuals, or granting some people who want to kill our democracy and granting them the rights that other people get, I choose for the former and not for the latter, and I'm proud to say so.
So to be clear, you're not fighting for a return to traditional Dutch values. You're actually trying to impose a whole new set of Dutch values.
I believe this will strengthen our rule of law if we don't allow, and if we are not so politically correct, that we let people misuse our constitution only in order to get rid of our constitution. And for that, you need to be strong, you need to be tough, and it will defend our tolerance, and it will defend our rule of law.
Just to take a few other examples, just to get a real flavor of what your proposals amount to, you want to see summary deportation of criminals who are dual citizens of the Netherlands, but also another country. You just say they should be thrown out of the country.
Well, of course not immediately, and not if they...
well, that's what you want to see. You want to see them gone.
No, I want... But
even if they have Dutch citizenship.
Not immediately. I proposed in my parliament the following. I said if what people bothers more than the normal terrorism is what I call the street terrorism. I don't know if you had
but let's get this straight. Anybody who, in your view, is not in some way native Dutch, if they transgress the law in any way, they should be sent back to the country of origin, should they?
We have a lot of problems with people with double nationality, especially from Moroccan background, in our major cities in the Netherlands. In Amsterdam, we had many debates of it in Parliament, in Rotterdam, in many 20, 30 cities in the Netherlands. And everything we've done so far is not effective. We put these people in jail, we find them, we get some social workers. It was all ineffective. And I'm looking for an effective way. And yes, indeed, if people commit a crime and they do it again, and you do it again for a third time, then at the end of the day I would say that if you have a double nationality, for instance you are Moroccan and Dutch, we will have to strip you from the Dutch nationality and send you away.
You want to, just to continue, let's talk more about your proposals. You want at least a 5-year ban on immigration from non-Western countries. You want to ban women wearing the burqa, that is the all-over robing that some Muslim women choose to wear. You want the immediate deportation of failed asylum seekers, even if, like in the case of the 18-year-old Kosovar Albanian student, even if they have basically spent their young life entirely in the Netherlands. You want to get them out of the country as soon as possible, even if, as in her case, she was about to take exams in Holland after studying in Holland for many years.
You know, in Holland, I believe it's not so much different in the United Kingdom. We are a democracy. And those kind of verdicts are set by a court. And this lady went to a court, and she went to appeal to another court. And the court and the judge said at the end of the day, there is no ground for you to have asylum in Holland. And then if the minister decides to send somebody away, irrespective of how long somebody was in the Netherlands or went to school or not, and this is democracy. Democracy is that if you are not allowed to be in your country, that you have to be sent away. So I don't know what's the problem with that.
There's no law in Holland right now, which I've seen, which suggests that women should be banned from wearing robes which cover their faces, bar their eyes.
This is true. I'm very happy, by the way, that the majority in the Dutch parliament supported my motion to totally ban the burqa in public life. And maybe allow me to give you shortly the reasons why I propose that. First is that I believe that in a time as today, where we have a lot of security problems, everybody should be able to identify any person in the street. Whatever you are wearing, you should not be fully covered. Secondly, I believe that it's a medieval sign of how we should not treat women. Thirdly, I believe that women, also Muslim women in Holland, should be independent. And I can tell you one thing, that if you wear a burqa in the Netherlands today, you won't get a job, you won't get Dutch friends, and it's a big no to Dutch society, and it's a yes to segregation and isolation.
It comes back to this word domination, doesn't it? Dominant cultures. You want to impose what you see as an acceptable Dutch culture.
No, I said I want the Christian and the Jewish and the humanistic culture to be dominant, but I also said that other cultures are welcome in my country, as long as they are not dominant. But once again, to ban the burqa, I believe will strengthen the moderate Islam, will strengthen women who don't want to wear the burqa, and in order to get them to find a job. And once again, if you wear a burqa in Holland, you will get no Dutch friends, you will get no job, you will not become independent, and you will therefore be unsuccessful in the Dutch society. And if you want Muslim people, which I also want, I want that very much, to integrate in the Dutch society, and this is not the way to do it.
Well, I have to tell you, if that's what you want, you seem to be failing miserably. We spoke, this program spoke to Ayhan Toncher, a leader of the Turkish community in the Netherlands, from the Islamic Cultural Foundation. He said Wilders is polarizing Dutch society, has no ideas to offer about living with Muslims. The reality is that Muslims do live here, we'll always live here. You are simply polarizing and infuriating with your proposals, infuriating the Muslim population.
Yes. Well, of course, I'm not of the opinion that I'm polarizing. At least that's not my aim.
It surprises you, does it? The things you've told me polarize opinion.
I know what he said before, so I'm not surprised that he says it. But I'm saying that it's not my aim to polarize. My aim is to get a proud, Dutch, strong society with strong individuals and with a dominant culture, which is not an Islamic culture in the